So Warner Bros. And MGM have been called out and put on blast for what they pulled with JD and the Minimata movie. And you know what? This 100%, it needs to be exposed. Make no mistake, too, this is 110% Warner Bros. Doing. According to sources, this is revenge for Aquaman 2, for Fantastic Beasts 3. They figured they could operate behind the scenes, they could do this stuff with impunity, and you know what? They got caught and called out. This led to some absolutely insane reactions, by the way, with Warner Bros. And MGM trying to stick shill media on this to bury it. You can see that right here. And with MGM even coming out admitting that they and Warner Bros. Pretty much planned on burying this stateside. Now, all of this has been met with anger that causes even more problems for Warner Bros., even more problems for MGM, and all of those people conspiring in the dark. You and I, we're going to talk about that today. Make sure you share this everywhere too, because otherwise, where do you hear about it? Yeah, fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. Oh, man. So, hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. I hope you are doing excellently. And you know what? I absolutely love seeing Warner Bros. And MGM put on blast, being told their place, and especially by people that are not afraid of these companies. That's what you're seeing right here. Acclaimed photographer Stephen DuPont denouncing MGM's quote-unquote burying of Minimata in North America. And I want to make something perfectly clear, too. This is not a conspiracy theory about Warner Bros. And MGM possibly colluding behind the scenes. This was called out by the director of Minimata themselves. Sources have talked about what has happened behind the scenes with these companies, too. And I want to review these two paragraphs here by the director themselves calling this out. I mean, it gives you an idea of just how messed up this situation is. So roughly a year ago, MGM purchased the North American rights to the film Minimata after viewing it at the Burr Line. MGM was intent on bringing to light the suffering of thousands of victims of one of the most heinous industrial pollution incidents the world has ever seen. In re-exposing their pain and the sharing of their stories, this long marginalized community hoped for only one thing: to lift history from the shadows so that other innocents would never be afflicted as they have, and it seemed in that moment with MGM's partnership, a decades-long wish had finally come true. Now listen to this flamethrower go scorched earth. Now imagine the devastation when they learned this past week that despite an already successful global rollout, MGM had decided to quote-unquote bury the film. The source of that information, by the way, is the acquisition head, Mr. Sam Wallman's own words, because MGM was concerned about the possibility that the personal issues of an actor in the film could reflect negatively upon them, and that from MGM's perspective, the victims and their families were secondary to this. Scorched earth, isn't it? MGM admitted to this, by the way, and sources reveal that MGM and Warner Bros., they weren't happy about this call out. That's why you saw certain outlets in shill media, ones that would never call out a film like this, trying to burn the freaking thing down. I love, and I mean that, I absolutely love the fact that this blowback, it's getting to them so much. Why? Because number one, they deserve it, and number two, they ain't seen nothing yet. Here's an interview with Stephen DuPont. He says a lot of things in this interview, by the way. You should definitely check that out. But here's where the questions start up, where he's asked about what he thinks about this type of censorship. So at one point in Minimata, Smith, or that's JD's character, says the cover-up by the Chisso Corporation is going to be as much of the story as the story itself. There's some parallels here. We have a situation where MGM, again, we're talking Warner Brothers too there, has decided to quote-unquote bury the film in North America because of so-called reputational issues with JD. What's your response to this? Here's the response. I mean, listen to this here. It's complete BS and shouldn't be used to stop the film being released in the U.S., regardless of what JD is alleged to have done in his personal life. And there are just allegations about what happened during a marriage breakdown. He's just an actor. Again, it's all BS. You shouldn't be aiming at this stuff. It's all allegations. All of those things right there, they have to drive these folks insane. Continuing, the big picture here is the film, its story and victims of mercury poisoning. MGM shouldn't be crossing that boundary. Don't shoot the messenger is what I'd say. Now I want you to listen to this part right here, because it not only talks about the movie, but it talks about the world that we're engaging in, where you see these practices shutting down things like the movie careers and on. Quote, MGM's response reflects the world we are living right now, which in my opinion uses things like #MeToo to blow all sorts of allegations out of proportion. Any kind of negativities in people's lives are seized upon. And when you think about that, it could be anything at all. I mean, in JD's life, you're talking about those allegations, but it could be anything whatsoever. That kind of stuff, it's seized upon. It doesn't matter how small it is, and it's utilized to absolutely torpedo you, regardless of whether you did anything wrong or not. Continuing, MGM is not just punishing JD, but everyone else. The actors, the director, the cinematographer, writers, all those involved. I would add here too, when you say all those involved, I would say that the people that were impacted by the Minamata issue, yeah, those people are being silenced. That is perhaps the worst crime of all. You're not just silencing a movie, you're silencing people that push their story out there, relived all of this pain, and MGM and Warner Bros. Are saying, yeah, but what about our revenge? Continuing, even if the allegations were true, I wouldn't change my opinion. With JD, what we're talking about is a marriage breakdown, something that lots of people go through all around the world. The only difference is that they're not celebrities. It's a sad state of censorship in a far too critical world where, God forbid, if you say or do anything the wrong way or make a mistake, you're crucified every which way. Let's get these things into perspective. And this is true, by the way. It is a sad state of censorship where anything happens whatsoever, your life, your career, it can be destroyed, and stuff like this, it definitely proves it. Now, from what I understand from sources that would know about this, by the way, is that this has absolutely nothing to do with MGM and optics. They're not worried about JD popping up in a movie that they own. I mean, really, if you think about that, if they were worried about it, they wouldn't have just shut this down in North America. No, they wouldn't have let it be released anywhere at all. But you know what they did? They shut it down in North America because that's revenge. They have companies that they're tied to, companies like Warner Bros. They have executives in their rank and file that tie to that as well. And remember the embarrassment for Warner Bros. Remember what happened with Fantastic Beasts 3. Remember what's going on with Aquaman 2. It's 110% revenge, like I say, and people keep calling this out. But anyway, you let me know what you think about this. And don't let this stuff die on the sidelines, as it were. Make sure you call this stuff out. Make sure everyone knows about it. Thank you for being here, too. I appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff possible, so thank you. Leave your comments on it, though. And if you want to help out the channel, there are links in the description. Check those out. They always help out. But you being here, that matters. So thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to end here with another thank you, and we will see you soon.